which is sort of like what I said, where it's like, ow, the cat bit my toe. He wants attention.
I will definitely leave that in.
He's still doing it. I'll be professional and continue this while I am being bitten. Ow! Okay.
I'm not a flying toy. This is Rugga Hissy. We're going to be talking about shit. Excuse my voice. I just woke up. So thank you for joining me. I've asked all three guests this. So what are you most known for on the site, and what are you most proud of on site in terms of your work?
So I thought about this, and recently I had an idiot throw a bunch of spiders on somebody. So I think that that's my answer for both.
Yeah, so that's what you want, and that's what you're most known for. Awesome.
I just like to have bad ideas and then implement them into practice.
Speaking of bad ideas and implementing them into practice, let's go move on to romance and SOTF, because lots of people are really down on romance as a concept. So I want your opinion. Is there a place for romance in SOTF?
I think so. And I say that as I mentioned earlier, as a deeply unromantic person. It's also coincidental that Ricky and I are celebrating our 5th anniversary tomorrow.
Oh my God. So this is crazy. I got Laurel's on, and he's celebrating his 5th anniversary on SOTF in 5 days. And then you're having an actual romantic anniversary, and it's like, oh man, I'm timing these really well.
I think Laurel's is more important.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an internet site, and you guys are real world kissing and stuff. That's not cool.
But yeah, I think I think romance is fine for SOTF. I actually really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I have a weird personal thing where I like to put together people that shouldn't be together.
They call it shipping in Tumblr.
Oh, is that what the kids are calling it?
That's what the kids are calling it. They call it shipping. So what does a good romance look like then? If you think there is a place for it, where does, I guess, the negativity of romance come from, in your opinion?
Well, I think that there's a place for it in the game because it happens in life, and especially with teenagers, which these people are. Mm-hmm. All kinds of feelings going through your noodly bodies. Romance in general as a genre kind of gets poo-pooed. Romantic comedies are seen as sort of a lower form of storytelling, I guess. Which is probably due in part to, I don't know, its association to femininity and the patriarchy. But that aside, I think it's tough to do sometimes in this game because as a very wise Japanese person once said, sometimes romances tend to eat up all of the plot, which is when I think it becomes a problem, is when it's just about the romance and that people become sort of flat.
So they lose a couple cup sizes, or?
They become flat in their dimensions. In their
breast dimensions, or?
Yes. So I think it's easy to go awry, especially because I think sometimes people want to write a romance that's sort of not realistic because you have the opportunity, and then it gets kind of out of control. And it can easily end up very cheesy or unrealistic, I guess.
What does a good romance look like then? So on the flip side of the coin, so you just described, the kind of the pitfalls of it, but what is one that's well done? What does that look like to you?
I thought about this a little bit. I was going to do more prep, and then I was like, meh, I'm going to wing it.
That's basically what I do with everything. So yeah.
But I think that there's a couple of different sorts of romance that you can do, because I was on recommendation of Zarina. I checked out Conrad and Clarice. Clarice. And that was kind of, I didn't think that was going to be what it was, because it was like a relationship that's already in progress and has been going on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a romance that's settled in and people who are close. And I think that one, of what I read of it, was pretty good because they acted like people that have known each other for a while.
Right.
But it didn't take over their personalities. And then there's also like more budding romance, which are people that sort of either just like had the kindlings in pregame and then it carries over a little, or people who have they get together in the game and they have, I forget what it's called, but it's like bridge theory, where if you see somebody standing on a bridge and you're standing on a bridge, your heart goes really fast because you're afraid of the height of the bridge and death, but you mistake that for love. So the situation pushes you together faster and closer than you would normally progress. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you could do romance. I would say that the most important thing to keep in mind is probably that it doesn't swallow your character's interactions and motivations. I think in the past, when it goes wrong, is because the other people just become all about the romance.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which is one of the things I hate about the thing that I hate, where it's like people, show up and then they're like, it's been 5 minutes and then they've decided to pick out curtains.
Not like doing other things with your characters is sort of like the pitfalls of it. But like a good one would be too that, like that there's an actual, like, I guess, escalation to the end game of romance, or would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I would, if it's something that's not long established, like a girlfriend and boyfriend, if it's something that's like moving along, I think it's best to like drop hints every once in a while, or like make an indication of what's happening as you're doing other stuff.
Right.
Though I will say I'm also a huge fan of one-sided, which I will cite Maynard, who I love, from V5, who I thought was terrific because he was so in love with this girl and he was like, oh, I'm so worried. I got to get back to her. Where is she doing? What's she thinking? And then she just didn't think of him at all.
Yeah. So the one-sided romance thing is something that I didn't even really consider when planning this out, but like that's something that you're almost passionate about. You love one-sided romances. I
do, because it's so sad. And there's another example, which is from V4, which is Haley and her boyfriend, Kyle. And they are even like established to be in a relationship. And he's like worried about her, like thinking about her. And she's like, he's cool, whatever. And then he dies and she does not remember him ever again. One thing about that relationship that I just remembered is that I loved the details on his end. He talks to her and he's looking at her and there's lint or something on her coat and he brushes it off and he keeps fixing her clothes. So that's something that I really liked, is like a small detail that showed that he cared. So I think things that are small like that really go a long way.
So moving on from the small details and, the escalation, do you think it's more important to like plan it, or do you think that there is a possibility that someone can just literally go, I'm just going to do this and just run into it like you and I often do with everything in our lives?
Yeah. I actually advocate more for just like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I don't even know how planning a romance would work.
I feel like this is the wrong question to ask either of us because I don't think we plan much. So, the answer to that question, I guess, is you absolutely can wing it. You can just follow the chemistry and all that.
That's one of my favorite things to do, is just like see whatever random person comes into my open thread and then unhealthily attach myself to them. And then maybe there's a romance, like life. But I suppose you could plan it. Like, I know that there are people who, and I think I've also participated in this before, where people in the planning threads are like, hey, I'm looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend or crush or whatever. And then you're like, yeah, that's me. I fit that. And you start a relationship with your characters, which is going the route of like long established relationship, which I'm also a big fan of because I don't feel like in fiction there's a lot of just like steady couples that have been together.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, you can work it out. You can plan it ahead as far as who you would like your character to be with.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that there's a lot of room for like planning specifically what's going to happen in the relationship as far as the island's concerned, because you never know when someone's going to die.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that's the romantic, that's the romance, the lovey-dovey kind of side of things. Let's get into the dirty stuff, the nitty-gritty. Yeah. So boning, the old tube sock into the velvet wallet. So is there a place for making the mamba in SOTF?
Yes.
Question mark there. Why are you so unsure?
The horizontal bebop.
I think you just wanted to use that.
I think so. I think definitely it's kind of a legacy item. It was featured a lot in the original Battle Royale.
Right.
Again, they're teenagers and it's a part of life and you're going to die. So I think it's logical to include.
So what you're saying is the scene is right for love.
Yeah, it's like the romantic flickering glow of the on fire church.
Yeah, so basically, yes. Well, like, how explicit, though?
Okay. So I am somebody who has been subjected to a lot of the very worst sex scenes, especially in V4. I have read really terrible ones. That being said, I don't think that it's impossible to make a good one.
Right.
I think that it's a lot safer to go with a fading to black because then you just don't have to deal with like what happened, and it's lazier, which I'm an advocate of. But besides that, it's not always necessary. Usually from a character and a narrative standpoint, what matters is that it happened at all and how that affects your characters.
Right.
Rarely does the actual act itself matter that much, unless you are V4 and you shoot somebody mid-coitus. You need to include that.
Yeah.
I can see how there could be a reason for having an explicit sex scene in. It's not an SOTF example, but I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Lust, Caution.
Nope.
It's a good movie, and there are I think there's 3 explicit sex scenes in it, and the sex scenes show how the power dynamic between the people changes. So it's very different every time. So I can kind of see how something like that might work out. That was the reason given to me for one of the terrible sex scenes in V4, and I didn't buy it then. I mean, I am a human female person.
Mm-hmm.
You are a male person. What is your perspective on this as the other type of human?
Oh, on like explicit sex scenes?
Yeah.
Well, what else am I gonna fap to? No, but like there are some times where you kind of go off the rails. Like you and I had like a weird thing. I had a weird thing where Hansel was like tugging on the snake to Mara's thought or whatever. But like,
well, I had the corresponding thing. They happened at the same time, which, if I recall correctly, we did because we were bored of waiting.
That's exactly correct. It was almost a protest about what was going on at the time, and we left it in because we liked it. But at the same time, it was like, I don't know, there's some worth in it. So yeah, like if you're not going to get anything out of it, like if there isn't a specific event that happens during, I really don't see the need for it to be in there.
Or if you're just like a really great erotica writer and you want to give your gift to the site.
So when are you giving the gift to the site there?
I've never actually tried to. Oh, I did try to write erotica.
You did. Yeah, you did.
I forgot about that. I wiped it from my memory. Prior to joining SOTF, I was like a refugee of a really terrible Gaia online anime sex thing. And I was like, this is awful. But I stayed in there because I didn't know what to do. And then I found SOTF and I was like, I don't have to write terrible orgies that can't happen, like with the current laws of physics and human biology.
It's like, well, you don't have to, but you can if you choose to.
Oh, that was so terrible. Oh, it's all coming back to me.
So, is a sex scene really the only time when you can do a song post?
I had never even considered that there would be a song post sex scene before you asked me that question. I don't like song posts. I think maybe I don't think I've ever done one.
Okay, but just picture this. Okay,
Yeah,
like, come with
I
me.
know. I know you can do a song post with a sex scene and be like, come my lady, come my lady, you're my butterfly, sugar baby.
I was gonna go no sleep till Brooklyn, but I'm glad that you did come my lady for the double meanings.
It's supposed to be a double meaning. It's a sexy song.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, so what you're saying is there's a possibility.
So I don't know. What song though? Because
come my lady.
But okay, but
okay, but like getting a little more on track. I don't know how we got onto this.
Because you asked me about song posts and sex scenes, and then I was like, "What? Like Careless Whisper? Like na 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 na."
Careless Whisper is the quintessential sex scene song, I think,
of the '80s. Yes.
Of time.
Of time.
Of time. Like what would be the equivalent now? Like what's a modern song?
How do you feel about Sexy Back?
So that Sexy Back was like 6 years ago, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's more modern. Slam Jam remixes.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so like when you're approaching doing a romance scene or a sex scene or whatever, what should your attitude be? Because there has been a lot of like backlash in terms of or backslash. Hey, shout out to Zarina. Backlash from those types of things. So what should your attitude be going into it?
For a romance or for a sex scene?
Yes.
Okay. For a romance, I would just say, I don't know, do whatever is fun, whatever you think will be good character development. Mm-hmm. But again, make that not be the entire person.
Right.
And I think don't take it personally if people don't like your pairing, if they like you individually, but they don't think your kids work together. With the sex scene, I would say, for sure, do not do an explicit one if you have no experience. Because that
life experience or writing experience?
Life experience.
Oh, okay.
Because that has led to some, in V4, because it had the most sex scenes of recent versions, there was a lesbian sex scene that did not make any sense.
Yeah. And I'm an authority on lesbians, so I could probably pull that off. But.
Well, I mean, at least like having, I don't know, seeing a vagina maybe.
A real human vagina on a real human woman. And in the
presence of a lady, and she didn't scream. Or like, I don't know, watch
I don't know if that's going to make it in. Hey, you virgin piece of crap. Sorry, go on.
Yeah,
It's okay.
In V5, I don't feel like there was like one sex scene, and I don't feel like there was a lot of criticism of it. It just kind of went under the radar.
Yeah, there was some at the time. Like during the writing was usually like SOTF is super reactionary, right? So they strike when the iron is hot, and that's it. So like when it comes to that thing, like I'm sure people at the time were like, "Oh, what is this?" But like now it's like it's not even thought of.
The only thing that I remember specifically about it is that they had the horizontal bebop like very close to another character who was just like do 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 do.
There are 3 people in this thread.
I think it's really funny, and I think it's something that would happen.
I think that's speaking of another thing. Like if you're gonna do a sex scene, like try it with a third person present. They don't have to be involved in the actual sex, but like that just makes it way more entertaining. Where like you'll just hear them like knocking on the door and being like, "Are you still fucking?" All right. So
there was something that I forgot, which is that in romances, I really like when things are awkward. I think that it's aces all the time.
So awkward romance is A+.
I think that it's great. I think that because it's real life, and also you can inject a little humor into it because sex is awkward and weird.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the time. Maybe I'm not doing it right. What's your next question?
No, let's go back to the you being awkward about sex thing. No, okay. So, advice for future days. So you've been through your series of versions. Wow, versions.
Wow, 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 wow.
The Virgin Hunter. Where like you've done the V4 thing, the V5 thing. You've done a couple of minis. You got a couple of minis under your belt. What advice do you have moving as the game rolls forward? What do you want to say to people?
I don't know. Take off your socks before you bone somebody. I had to put it in because it bothers me so much. What advice do I have for future days? I don't know. Make it kind of real how you would actually react in that situation. I gave props to Zarina. Again, this is a very Zarina heavy episode. It's almost like there's a third person.
Da, da, da. You can reveal yourself, Zarina. Okay, go on.
I told her, like, I wanted to give you props for this because there's a scene where she and Zarina's character, whose name I don't remember how to pronounce,
Minjae?
Minjae.
Mm-hmm.
They talk in a cafe and like they go out for a smoke and it's like charming as hell. Mm. They just talk about stuff and they like try to relate to each other. And I thought that was very, realistic. Mm-hmm. So I would say try to make it how you think people would actually react in a relationship and put yourself in their shoes. Mm-hmm. Or if you had a crush on somebody. And don't be afraid to get grabby.
The grabby is the important part.
And that's my advice.
All right. So this is the segment of the show, the outro, where I talk about the person I have with me. And I make them stay here for it because it amuses me.
That's awful.
It is absolutely awful, but you're going to sit here and enjoy it.
I'm sure that Ricky liked it, though.
Ricky was like, do tell me more. Go on, sir. So every now and again, you find a person that's just super chill to work with and will absolutely shoot from the hip and tell you what they think up front about everything. And Rugga is that person. So if you
sometimes a little too much, I think.
No, I don't think there's such thing as too much.
I can be a little mean sometimes, I think.
100% you can, and that's sometimes it's needed. So Rugga's really, really good at that. She's been one of the big reasons why I've stuck around so long. Because she's just a lot of fun to talk to, and I think this has been really, really good. So that was Romance and Sex with Rugga, otherwise known as the horizontal beep bop, because I can't believe a human being actually said that to you at any point in his life.
When I was 16, yeah.
Yeah, 16, horizontal beep bop. You could just say boning, sir. It'll be okay. But yeah, and that's basically all I have to say for that. Go read her stuff. It's all excellent. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.